We are back inside Wisconsin. Trevor, John Anderson, and that is Dave Krieg, Wisconsinite, of course, 19 seasons in the NFL. All right, Dave, so this is episode number 40 of Inside Wisconsin, and I have sat through about a dozen track and field conversations that I really, really, really struggle to have a conversation about. The tide is about to turn. Let's talk some bow hunting, shall we? Some hunting. Some things that maybe John has never been in a deer stand. So I did get the call from you this morning. I do really think that I'm coming out there on Monday to walk a new property, which we're not going to tell. That's like hunting 101. You don't tell people where your spot is.
You're welcome. Yes.
Yeah, I can't wait. So talk to us about hunting, man. Like, clearly you have a passion for it. You're welcome.
No. I'm like the Kenny Mayne of hunting. Like, for 19 years, I didn't hunt, right? So now you have to take your bow release, John. That's what you pull back, and that's what you pull the string back with. These guys aren't deer hunters like the old men were back in the old days and have a recurve. They pull back with this release. So you got to make sure you take your release. You got to take this doe can with you. You got to take this buck grunt with you. You might have to take your rattling horns. You got to make sure you take your harness. So you know me, John. I mean, I can remember a few things. And then by the time you get out to the woods, you go, oh, shoot, I got to bring my bow and my arrows, right? Oh, John, you get up in your stand. I'm sure this has happened to a lot of people. You get up in your stand, you're all set first time or second time. And then you're sitting there for a while and you go, oh, I better pull my bow up. I mean, there's so many things, Johnny, that happen are so funny. Hunting is just sitting out there. You enjoy it. But all the things of setting up a ladder stand and pushing it up there and yelling at your brother who's still the same age as you, and you're calling each other all kinds of names like you were 6 years old. You dumbass, Dave, you can't do anything, can you? You know, because I don't know how to do all that stuff. And it's just hilarious. And then you put it up there. But then when you see a deer, John, you're like, your heart starts going. It's almost like the first time you've been on ESPN or something. Holy cripes, there's a deer, and it's a doe, right? And then sometimes you get a white one. We have albinos up here. And then, John, when you see a deer with horns, oh my God, you drop your bow. It's just the most coolest thing. So go ahead, Trevor. You can ask me some more questions. There's a lot of good bow hunting up here. I mean, there's a lot of good bow hunting.
I need to defend myself a little. First off, you're right. I've never been in a tree stand, but I've climbed a damn tree, so that's the same thing. I have not. While I have not actually hunted, I lived in Wisconsin, right? So all my friends disappeared in the woods around Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I know. When you said you were in the woods, what did I ask you? I told Kenny it either had to be a bow season or some black powder muzzle.
Muzzle loader. That's right. Yeah, I don't do that.
I know my way around a little bit. Okay,
Yeah.
I know some of it. Actually, my father was a wonderful hunter, and when he passed away, I was very young. I have both of his rifles.
Nice.
And I wrote the serial numbers, and I wrote to Remington, and I wrote to Winchester, and they said to me, I would not shoot those because if something happens to them, we don't have a part. We don't. So they've sat, they are reassembled, but for years I had them in grease and flannel and packed away.
You take care of your stuff that you don't use better than the stuff I use.
So, unlike Trevor, who has no idea which end of a shot put to throw. So I will defend myself. What is that? Yeah, what is that? That looks like the.
That's nice. That's a European mount. That's a European mount. That's
so
nice.
I actually did this. I did this myself.
Really?
That thing looks little. That looks like the thing in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas when he just put the antlers on the dog and sent him down the hill.
A buddy of mine gave this deer to me. I didn't shoot this, but I did do the European mount on it. I wanted to try it. So I picked it up after he had it all tagged and everything, and I actually made my own European mount, and it's been on the set ever since.
Hey, let me ask you this, Trevor. This will screw up Johnny really good. What do you think that score is? Like 125, maybe 120, 130?
Maybe 120.
Yeah, that I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that much about deer hunting, but I sure love it. The older I get, though, I'm getting scared of heights. When you're up in a stand, John, 17 feet, I wish I could stand up and you're up there. And yes, you're hooked in behind you with this harness, but it doesn't have tension that you can feel. So sometimes I put something on my waist. But when you get older, you're like, oh, it's not that your balance is bad. It's just that you know how much it's going to hurt when you fall. So you get really scared up there, 17 feet. So they have enclosed blinds, John. I would love if you ever came back to Wisconsin, you could sit in one of them redneck or muddy blinds that are enclosed. We could play cribbage and see a deer and then shoot it and go back to playing. And knobs is yours, John. That's what we do.
I can play cribbage too. I'm right there. I did that.
You're a deer hunter. You're a deer hunter.
Somebody won a baseball game years ago when I first got here, and it was 15-2, and I said it was a cribbage score, and no one knew what I was saying. When I said they won by a cribbage score, it was 15-2.
My trail camera literally just went off. My trail camera just sent me a picture.
Oh, yeah. Let me look at one, too.
How about you worry about the show, Trevor, and you go shoot something later?
We're talking hunting. All right, Johnny, you go. Back to whatever.
Well, did you ever take Steve Largent hunting? Steve doesn't seem like a tree stand guy to me.
So I got a funny story for this. So, Trevor, you remember a thing called Earn a Buck? You have to shoot a doe first. This would have been back in 2002, 2003. I'm hunting Buffalo County, John. So Buffalo County is like Lambeau Field of deer hunting. There's only like 20 counties in the whole United States like it. They have these big, huge bucks. So I'm sitting up there, Earn a Buck. It's my second day there. I wanted to shoot a doe the first day, and I didn't in the second day. And then at night, I heard this commotion. I looked to my right, and there's the biggest deer I ever shot. It was 175 is what it scored, Trevor. I know because the guy at Cabela's shot it. I talked to him about it. But anyway, it was bow hunting, and this deer comes by, and I'm like, oh, geez. And then it stopped at 12 yards, 15. I let it go. It was scored 175. I let it go. And I called Steve Largent the next day. Steve's a big born-again Christian. He's a congressman, 3 terms. He ran for governor of Oklahoma, and he has deer hunting land in Tulsa. But I called him after this. He was still a congressman. I said, Steve, are you familiar with Earn a Buck? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, I had the biggest buck, and it walked by. And he goes, Dave, I would have shot that deer in a heartbeat. I said, wait, you're Steve Largent, this big born-again Christian. He goes, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, he said. I should have shot the deer, and then I probably could have shot a doe the same day or the next morning, and I might have been okay, but I just didn't want to break any rules, and I'm glad I'm saying that on this show.
So we're very much inside Wisconsin, but I am interested in a couple of guys you played with. One of them is Steve, because I think people forget, like when he retired, he led the NFL all-time in catches, yards, and touchdowns, and now he's like 30th in catches. And tell me how good Steve Largent was. So
to put it in context for people right now, so you look at Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp looks small to people, but he's 6'2", and he's probably 210. Steve Largent was at the best 5'10" on a good day and probably weighed 190, 185. He would run down the field with all this zigzag, make it look like he was going inside, and then fake it, and then go inside. So if they double covered him from the inside and out, he said, I'm just going to go against one guy. They can't really double cover him if he's running a route off of one guy. So he made it simple. He was so competitive, so studious. He'd go out and practice routes, and he had this incredible desire to be as good as he could be. There's something up with his personal family upbringing and stuff, and he is such a good dude and such a great receiver, and he gets overlooked now with all these guys catching 100 passes every year, but he did it consistently, and I'm so glad I was able to throw to him.
So, Trev, Steve Largent went to the University of Tulsa. I worked in Tulsa many years and got to know Steve.
Jerry Rome. Great
quarterback.
He was my quarterback coach. He was my quarterback coach in Seattle, thank goodness. Steve went to Dallas from Tulsa, and then Jerry Rome he was the runner-up for the Heisman under John Ewart back in '67. He told me this a million times. And Jerry was up there, and Jerry is the guy that says, I think this kid has a shot. Jerry Rome did. So he gave me a chance, and then Steve was there. But Steve and Jim were best friends, John. I mean, it's like, holy cripes, here I stick going there, and I probably smell like I had a couple old styles and not holy water, and it was a whole different thing when I was playing quarterback than them. But Jerry Rome loved me and thought there was something good about me, and I got to play for Jim's coach in college and beat out his best friend. It was a weird dynamic, man.
Wow. And the other guy I really always was intrigued with, because I thought he was just an unbelievable player, was Kenny Easley.
Oh, well, you can stop right there. I've written this down. I was going to write a book years ago with Brad Zawek and Brian Leaf. Brian Leaf lived in Rockford. He just passed away. Rick Millette from Green Bay Southwest was my lineman. I talked to him every day in the hospital in Milwaukee. He was right outside of Pulaski High School. He says, that's what I'm looking at is Pulaski High School. And I talked to him, then he passed away in the hospital. But Kenny Easley, let me say this. He just had his little finger cut off. He's been taking dialysis probably for the last 25 years, 3 times a week. He's living in Norfolk, Virginia. He's in the Hall of Fame now. But when I went to Seattle, I wrote this down. The best athlete I have ever played with. And I really realized when he was the best athlete is we would go after, we'd have like they call OTAs or whatever. We would have these practices, and we go up to the Kirkland gym and play basketball. And oh my God, Kenny Easley used to play for John Wooden at UCLA. And then I'd play against Eugene Robinson. There's Jacob Green out there. So we had John Elway come in there. I mean, we had some of the best basketball games. And that's when you can really bond with your team. Sherman Smith, Dave Brown. We used to play all the time, but Kenny Easley, he returned punts for us. He could have been a receiver and played safety. He's by far the best athlete overall that I've ever played with. And he's just amazing. I'm so glad you brought that name up, John. And Derek Thomas was another one.
and you're really lucky that he hit the other quarterback and not you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Kenny was vicious. Like he never said it, but he didn't want to be compared to Ronnie a lot. He wanted people to compare them to him.
Wow. So as you're out and about and playing with all these different guys, 19 seasons, you clearly spew Wisconsin. So who are some of the Wisconsin guys that you ran into in your NFL career?
Not very many. I can't really think of a lot. I mean, I'll tell you a funny story. Speaking of Heisman Trophy winners, I mean, I played with Steve McNair at Tennessee. I played with Eddie George, two guys on the same team. Mm-hmm. And I'm playing in Detroit. And I just thought of this the other day. We were talking about Heisman Trophy winners. You know, I see Robert Griffin on TV, and Gino Toretta's at my house. I got a picture of him having Thanksgiving dinner because he was a young kid. He didn't have nowhere to go. And Sue and I invited him over. And I'm like, yeah, I had Heisman Trophy winners back me up as a quarterback. I always thought that was funny as hell. But the Wisconsin guys like J.J. Watson, Phoenix, but, you know, I probably could go up and see. I'd like to meet him. The guy from Point, that's the hockey player, Joe Pavelski. I'd like to meet him. My kids were hockey players. I don't know how to skate, and my kids love hockey. And now I'm around all these hockey players. They're the greatest kids. Wrestlers and hockey players are the greatest kids. If you ever got a resume and the kid said he wrestled or played hockey, you got to hire him.
Well, it's because hockey players have to get up and they have this crazy ice time at 4 a.m. or 10 at night. So they never feel like they're special, right? They
Wait a minute. Neither do their parents, John, because at that age, they're not driving themselves to that rink at 5 or 6 in the morning. So you're sitting there watching them and skating around a chair. And I'm like, what the hell are they pushing a chair for? And then they got good. I mean, hey, listen, this shirt I'm wearing, I was down in Pensacola. My daughter lives down in Mobile. And so I said, come on over to Pensacola. Mikey's playing in the playoffs for the Stanley Cup of their league, of the Pensacola League or whatever it was called. And Kenny put this on TV, John. It was the best out of 3. They beat the team on the road, so they're up 1. So whoever wins the second game, you know, it could go 1-1. And in the second game, it was tied, and the puck went over to the left. And you're thinking, oh, my God, it's not even a second. He backhanded it to the center. The guy flipped it in with 0.1 second. And I sent it to Kenny. He put it on ESPN. Yeah. And we went there, and my son's a firefighter now. But they were, you know, hockey players get after they win the Stanley Cup. I mean, they were raising the cup in the air like a Stanley Cup. My daughter was drinking out of it. She was only like 12 or 14. I don't know what they had in it. And the next day, my son shaves. He had a beard. He had the hockey beards, right? And he shaved half it off, and he went downstairs. What do you guys think of this? And they said, you're going to wear that all day. So my son had a half a beard in Pensacola, Florida. Oh, my God. That was the coolest. I've never been at an event where that was better than any football. I'm just like, oh, I can't believe that just happened.
That's amazing. Tell people, because he is a great fan of Wisconsin, though he's not a Wisconsinite. He's Washington through and through. Kenny loves the Packers. He loves Brett. He loves Aaron. He loves the casino across from the from the airport more than anything when he loves the Green Bay. Give me your favorite Kenny Mayne story, because I mean, he's a hoot and he's a dear friend. I love him to death, but I'm just curious as to just something that maybe strikes you about him.
Yeah, well, Kenny is he's a different cat. He has a different quirky way of looking at things, but he's very witty and he's very smart. It's hard to tell Kenny Mayne stories because actually when a Kenny Mayne story occurs, it just happens, right? And then, wow, did that just happen? We've done so many. Oh, I'll tell you a funny Kenny Mayne story, and it has something to do with me. His nephew, I can't remember his name. His nephew's blind, right, John?
Yes.
Yeah, it's his nephew, and I can't remember his name. I should go look it up on my phone, but I won't. So Kenny says, can you come down to south part of Seattle? And they're playing a softball game for blind people. I'm like, yeah, I'll go out there and help. And I thought, let me try this. And you close your eyes, and the ball's beeping, and I'm like, I can't even hit the ball, and these kids are hitting it. I'm out in the field with Kenny's nephew, and one of the guys is batting because you got to stand next to the blind kid so a little bit so they can hear where the ball is, and you point them in the right direction. And I'm out there, and the first guy took a took a pitch, John. He didn't swing, and I said, "Good eye." Like that's what you're supposed to say. That's what you're supposed to say. And then the second time it happened, I said, "Good eye" again. And then the kid said to me, "Dave, we can't see." And I'm like, "Oh, that's right." So it wasn't about Kenny. It was about me. It was just funny. It was just funny. So I said, "Good eye," and I'm out in the outfield yelling at like all the people can hear me. That's the NFL. That's the quarterback of the Seahawks.
That's the winner right there. Listen,
That's the guy right there.
that. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Kenny's a good dude. He's always busy. He's always busy.
Busy, generous, funny guy, generous man.
Yes,
Kenny Mayne will see this on Twitter. 100% chance.
I hope so. He always sends me stuff on Twitter. I don't even have Twitter, so I'm like, why are you sending me this? I don't care.
We will wrap it up in a second. Wow, this has been awesome. That's Dave Krieg. We are back in a minute. Inside Wisconsin.
Inside Wisconsin is brought to you by Baycare Clinic, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, the University of Wisconsin-Platteville, Rolltech, Festival Foods, Capital Credit Union, North Star Mohican Casino Resort, American Family Insurance, Miller Lite, and Aaron's Company.
Hey, remember to subscribe on YouTube. Leave a review. Smash the like button. Just get with us.